This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. What you just saw there is the Sphere in Las Vegas, who will be hosting a performance by a DJ called Anima. And of course, if you are someone who plans on attending this frequency assault on your mind at the Sphere, well, you might as well get yourself an enema, because an enema would probably be more fun than actually attending this mind control experiment that they're doing at the Sphere. And is it a surprise, as you saw all those transhumanistic themes that this guy Anima does during his ritual performances, his quote-unquote concerts, where you could see the audience clearly under a spell? Is it a surprise to anybody that this thing is called the end of Genesis? I mean, could it be any more in your face? And for anybody out there that's wondering what this thing is that they're seeing called the Sphere, I covered this in the past where they were literally spell casting on their audience because the frequencies that they're using inside of the Sphere are the types of frequencies that literally could blow your mind out of your body. But you too performed there, and I did cover this, and the video is available on the website, where they were using jump cuts and subliminal programming, showing you things so fast you couldn't catch it with the human eye. But of course, when you see clips of it that people upload, you can slow it down and you can see exactly what they're doing. We saw 666 flashing all over the screen, Antichrist flashing all over the screen, things like free pizza flashing all over the screen. So that is inside of the Sphere, where they are doing massive, massive rituals, of course, all in the name of good, clean fun in Sin City itself. And Afterlife presents Anima, the end of Genesis, will be returning right after, well, towards the end of Saturnalia. What a surprise, right? And how much more in your faces can it get, since they're showing you transhumanism, right? The whole theme of this guy's performances is transhumanism, man mixing with machine, and they're calling it the end of Genesis. Well, they didn't pick that because of Sega Genesis. Of course, he's referencing the Bible, as all of these Satanists always do, right? Genesis, the accounts of the creation of the world. Well, they're ending Genesis because they're changing what it means to be a human. And if you go over to Anima's Instagram account, well, it doesn't take long to see that Anima, of course, is in the club, because look at Anima's profile picture on his Instagram account. Well, what is that? Is Anima a failed optometrist who became a very rich and successful DJ? Did things work out better for him when he failed optometry school, but he also happens to still have this fetish for eyeballs? Of course, we're referencing here the all-seeing eye, the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, that they are so obsessed with, that every one of them uses, whether it's in magazine cover picture shoots, or they do it out in the open, or they put it on their profile picture. Somehow, people don't see what's actually happening here, but they always let you know that they're in the club. You can even go through some of the images in his profile where he, references man mixing with machine, with all-seeing eye symbolism. And of course, it's not a coincidence either. If you remember this video that I did on the weekend, this performance that the weekend did in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where YouTube was promoting this, and that's how I came across it, because every time I was logging into a channel, this was getting thrown down my throat because they were live streaming it on YouTube. So I took a look at what it was, because clearly they wanted everybody to see this, and of course it was nothing more than a satanic ritual where they were showing portals being opened, demons being summoned. And what a surprise that Anima was the visual creative director for that performance, and was very proudly showing some of the images that I was showing you with the Tower of Babel, with bringing over what's on the other side, the mixing of man and machine. And of course, these are some of the pictures on Anima's profile, if you go through his profile, that he proudly displays. And you might say, what is that, right? You can see those wires coming through the back of him. I mean, it looks very, very oddly similar to what we saw in The Matrix, right? Is he a big fan of The Matrix? Is that why Anima's doing it? Is that what this whole thing is about? He's a huge Keanu Reeves fan, so he just likes to do his artistic expression by showing everyone what his favorite movie is. No. Clearly, when The Matrix came out in 1999, most people who saw The Matrix didn't understand what they were seeing. But go back and watch it now. Go back and watch it with the advancements we've seen in technology over the last 25 years, and start connecting the dots with what they're trying to do, with the symbolism, with these people in pods being connected, of course, through these long black cables. And this is something we've seen throughout a lot of music videos over the years. This is not something that's new art. This wasn't musicians showing you that they're fans of the Matrix. Of course, they're talking about the collective consciousness. They're talking about you and machine, connecting you to the internet, to the hive mind, to the internet of bodies. And of course, they could do this wirelessly now, which is what the plan has been from the get-go. So I want to show you a couple of clips here from some of his concerts to show you just how demonic it is and just how under a spell the audience is. We're talking about what looks like tens of thousands of people who are attending these things, who just go thinking that they're going to listen to some techno beats. But on the screen, you could see all the agendas, including how this has everything to do with the collective consciousness, you know, the same one that Elon Musk continually tweets about, how we all need to have a collective consciousness become one. And you'll also see the connection between human beings hooking up to this technology and, of course, the fallen angels. Because as everybody connects with these wires, what do we see? Well, we see the wings appear, the fallen angels' wings appear, because this technology is directly from the fallen ones. And of course, that is transhumanism in a nutshell. That's what they're showing you here with Genesis. And that's why he calls it Genesis Part 2, the end of Genesis and the beginning of Genesis Part 2, because this is the new creation. This is what they're trying to create, a new hybrid race of human beings who are going to be hooked up to the internet of bodies. It sounds crazy, but every day that passes, as you see stories about Neuralink and you see stories about advancements in technology, it should start resonating in your brain exactly where we're headed. Just because they haven't revealed this out in the open by saying, hey, we're going to connect you to the internet, your body literally, doesn't mean that's not what the plan is. That's obviously the plan. The experiment's already underway. Remember when a lot of people were taking those shots in their bodies and suddenly were connecting to Bluetooth? Remember those videos that they scrubbed off the internet, that they removed people off of YouTube for because people were saying, why are these people who are getting this in their body suddenly finding themselves as wireless, connectable to Bluetooth? Oh, right, because they were putting the technology inside of their bodies then. So there's a reason it's called Genesis Part 2. And you can even see some of the all-seeing eye symbolism with man and machine merging as one. Even the Shiva symbolism that we see outside of CERN, right? Shiva the Destroyer, all those arms. Is it a coincidence that we always see this with celebrities and music videos from Gaga to Shakira to Beyonce? No, it is not. And for anybody wondering, the Sphere in Las Vegas utilizes a wide range of frequencies, including pitches up to 500 hertzes. So I want to play for you this clip for anybody out there that's wondering, that hasn't seen this before, that's not understanding frequencies. That we're in, really, when we talk about the prince of the power of the air in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2, where Satan is referred to as the prince of the power of the air, our enemy uses frequencies against us. Our enemy uses frequencies against all of humanity. That's where the saying comes, silent weapons for quiet wars. They use weapons that we can't even see with our own eyes. And frequencies have often been something that they've used to obviously put people through hypnosis and mind control. People don't realize that there are brain waves, your brain waves, gamma, beta, alpha, theta, delta. Make it so that you can become programmable if you're subjected to a certain frequency. You get a certain frequency thrown at you when you turn on the television. You get a certain frequency thrown at you when you listen to music on the radio. And inside of the sphere, you're getting a ridiculously large amount of frequencies hitting your brain. And this is way above gamma level frequencies, okay? This is the type of frequency that could literally fry your brain, especially if you have something inside of your body which could make you probably convulse into a seizure like we saw at that Travis Scott concert. So here's a better understanding of frequencies and how they use frequencies on all of us. Here's a clip that I've used in the past, and no, it does not mean that I support David Icke because he is involved in this clip. This is just a clip that I use that's very good at breaking down frequencies and how they use frequencies against us.
Music is frequency programming. Music is frequency. What frequency are you being fed? If I play with those frequencies, right, I can target certain parts of the mind, target the frequency to go to certain parts of the mind, and I can literally, if I want you to astral project, or if I want you to go to sleep, or if I want you to go into a meditative state, I can make my music do that.
The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically, and it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology has long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can externally influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna.
The sad reality is that where we now play our music is in A440. Where did that come from? It used to be 417. A440 came in with the Roman Catholic Church. They suppressed the frequencies. They lost somehow the 152 of the best Gregorian chants, including the hymn to St. John the Baptist, which we've now recovered. That particular hymn was what triggered Dr. Palaio's investigation, looking for those frequencies of vibration by which the music was played. It was known as the most uplifting hymn of all the ages, the most spiritually uplifting hymn. Hymn to St. John the Baptist. It was played to 6 tones. these are those 6 tones, these are those 6 frequencies. And so the A440 is what now is the standard tuning. If you go A439, you're closer to one of the Creator's tones. If you go A441, you're closer to one of the Creator's original tones. That's how precisely it has been manipulated. To do what? To shut down the 95% of your brain, particularly the right brain that operates the heart-mind to the divine human community.
Some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh God, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
When you go driving your car and your channel on the radio is tuned to a station and you're grooving to the music, you love that music. As you get farther and farther away from the broadcasting tower, that music gets static. You start to lose the signal from the clear channel, broadcast, and it gets staticky. When it gets staticky, you get a little annoyed. But you want to listen to it. You really have a heart for that music, so you continue to listen to it for another 10, 15 miles, and suddenly it becomes so annoying that you just get disgusted, you go, ah, and you shut it off. And if you continue to listen to it, you get sick. That's what we're talking about here. Except you don't even know that you've been listening to the static your whole life. You don't even know what the true resonant frequency is because it has been kept from you.
Now, of course, to really be effective, we need to use the proper words and phrases, scientifically selected. But that gives you the basic idea. We embed messages just below the threshold of perception, so they can go directly into the subconscious.
They can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing, and it starts to have an effect, and it starts to build rage, it starts to build anger, and people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event. Maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit, and now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper has been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do.
So in other words, the master composer, master conductor of the Universal Orchestra is singing love songs in 5/8, uplifting everything simultaneously. And we're the only species out of tune and accepting static for the clear channel.
Do you know that the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy that basically breaks the enemy's spirit, so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with.
So now that you have a better understanding of how they use frequencies and how they use frequencies against all of us, realize that that's what these people are doing. They are programming human beings. Human beings are going to these events, and I don't understand what they possibly can think is going on, but I realize that there's no thinking happening at all, especially when they're getting hit with that type of frequency level. They're standing there, they're holding up their phones, and everything they see on the screen, they're just staring at in awe, right? They're seeing these demonic robots on the screen. They're seeing human beings connecting with machine, and they're seeing fallen angels presented to them. What are they doing? They're just holding up their phone, drooling and screaming, and they have no idea that they're having spells cast upon them. And again, that's why it's really important for them to build out this narcissistic society, because it makes it so that people's brains are unpenetratable, which means that people like us can't get to them and pull them out of this because they laugh at the things that we talk about. They think it's stupid. They think that, oh, these people are crazy because they've been trained already to think that. That's part of the whole notion of words like conspiracy theory, satanic panic. They program people to automatically dismiss the things that we're talking about. So they think when they're going to these concerts that it's nothing more than entertainment. They think when they're watching the news that it's nothing more than information. They're being programmed via frequencies 24/7. And the only way to pull yourself out is to become self-aware. Because it's one thing for people like me, and I'm sure the majority of you watch my channel, if you put on the news, you should be watching the news in a conscious state. You should be saying, what are they trying to tell me? Why are they saying this? Why are they showing me that? Because that's different. You're not being programmed. You're seeing the program in front of you, and you're dissecting the programming that they're putting on everyone else. That's conscious thinking, right? They don't want you to think consciously. They want you to be a part of the collective hive mind. And when you watch these things, you're getting programmed. So if you watch it and you pay attention to what they're saying, it's very easy to decode all of it. So again, is it a surprise? The sphere, a place for severe, how is it even legal to use those types of frequencies on people out in the open is amazing, but they know that people are giving their consent by buying a ticket. So they literally, people's heads could explode inside of the sphere, like I've said before in the movie Scanners, and people would just go, oh, I don't know how that happened to them. They'd say, hey, that guy's brain didn't really blow up. You just saw it. Or they'd say, hey, remember when people were going to that Taylor Swift concert and they were getting amnesia? And people still were like, yeah, I'll still go to the Taylor Swift concert though. Why? Well, because people, and the mainstream media, I should say, were reporting that the people were having amnesia because it was such an out-of-body experience at the Taylor Swift concert. Remember that? Taylor Swift concert, I've got videos on the website about. People were reporting having amnesia. You would think that people would hear that and they go, well, I'm never going back to one of her concerts. Why would people be getting amnesia? That's scary, right? But instead, because we are in such a dumbed-down society, they thought it was cool. And the news told them it was like a out-of-body experience. You got to go to Taylor Swift. You literally won't even remember it when you go. Well, that's frequency, right? And these people are so dumb that they're signing up willfully going to these things because they need to be entertained and they have no idea what's actually happening to them. So, end of Genesis, right in front of your face, showing you man and machine becoming one, showing you that this is fallen angel technology. The guy's even got his profile picture as the all-seeing eye, which, again, doesn't surprise anyone. I knew the second I saw this clip, which I've been waiting to cover for a while, because they're performing after the holidays here, after Saturnalia, or during the tail end of Saturnalia. I said, I'll wait to cover this when it's time for them to actually do the performance so more people see it, right? And you go over to Anima's Instagram. Before I even went, I knew, all right, there's going to be tons of all-seeing eye symbols. Well, I didn't even have to look far because it's his profile picture's an eyeball, right? I mean, guy's performing with The Weeknd. He's proud to be the visual creative director for The Weeknd. And what's he showing you? He's showing you all the stuff we talk about. With CERN, what they're trying to do, with the mixing of iron and clay, this fallen angels technology, it's all right in front of our faces. But I guess the majority of people will think that Anima, not to be confused with enema, even though it's one and the same, is just telling everyone out there that he's a big fan of the movie The Matrix. I mean, give me an utter break. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.